Hi, Vern. Okay. God, two more. So, just yesterday I watched VHS 94. I love VHS and VHS 2. I love horror anthology films, and I do really like found footage films. And the VHS movies really encourage indie filmmakers to sort of push that genre. The first VHS had some interesting bits, like found footage, like shot home movies, shot as like Skype conversations, shot as like hidden camera, and it did some interesting stuff with like the video camera being necessary to see the monster, that kind of thing. VHS 2 pulled things, made things more interesting too, where it's like the camera on the implanted eye, the camera on a GoPro, the camera from a documentary crew, that kind of thing. I really like VHS, and I really like how it explores, or VHS as a series, and how it explores found footage. VHS Viral sucked ass. VHS 1 and 2 were so great. Safe Haven in VHS 2 is probably the best skit of the whole series, or short of the whole series. VHS Viral was so terrible, I was certain that it sunk the entire film series, that there weren't going to be any more VHSs, because that one was so bad. So I was shocked to see VHS 94 coming out, and I was even more shocked when I was kind of excited for it. Like I said before, that horror anthology films are hard to grade. I love them so much, but like really, you're grading like 4 or 5 different mini films. So it's kind of thing. Let's take VHS 94 first as a whole, and then we'll get into the little ones. First off, as a whole, I think the theme is more coherent. VHS, despite the name, it didn't really have a lot to do with VHS videos. They were all different horror movie genres, with alien invasion and slasher and ghost. Oh, VHS had the first radio silence movie I ever saw, which was 10/31/94 or 96, I think, I can't remember. 10/31/90 something, which is by Radio Silence, and it kicked ass. It was the best short of the first VHS. I love Radio Silence. They did Ready or Not, Southbound, and they were the executive producers of 94. But 10/31/90 whatever was definitely the basis for 94, or VHS 94, in that it's there's a more coherent theme for VHS 94. So VHS didn't really have anything to do with VHS. It was like 5 found footage horror films. VHS 2 was also kind of themeless. So it was, again, it was just 4 found footage horror films. VHS Viral had a theme, and the theme was terrible, where it was viral videos, internet videos, that kind of thing. So it was still all found footage, but it was at least trying to hook them together. And the results are terrible. The Magician one sucked. The Evil Penis one was like interesting, but like couldn't save the whole thing. And then the Skate Punk one was fun for like 5 minutes, and then got old really fucking fast. So yeah, VHS Viral was so weak. And then VHS 94, I feel like is sort of return to form. Not a super great return to form. It's not as great as VHS or 2, but it's definitely better than Viral. And the theme is very coherent. VHS tapes or VHS in general is the main theme. Everything is on VHS for the most part. We'll get to something else. And it's themed around the year 94, or the 90s. Fun, 90s are making a comeback now. If you don't know the 30-year cycle, retro and nostalgia follows the 30-year cycle. Throughout the whole 2010s, we were all, because people who create content, they turn 30, they get creative control stuff, and they can make content. So they start making shit they were nostalgic for when they were a kid. So throughout the 2010s, we've been seeing shit from the 80s, because people who are in their 30s were making stuff, and they were nostalgic for the 80s. And now it's 2020, so we're going to start seeing shit nostalgic for the 90s. And I'm excited, because I'm in my 30s now. Hubby kids like Pete and Pete, because it's coming back. Dear God, please come back, Pete and Pete. Anyway. So 94, VHS 94 has a much more coherent theme, setting, so things should mesh together better, and for the most part they do. The wraparound story sucked butt. I'm sorry, it's so terribly acted. Makes no sense. It's about a SWAT team, and they have a documentary guy following them around as they they're infiltrating like a drug house or whatever, and there's like fucked up shit. Or it is so terribly acted. It is like I couldn't tell if it was like trying to be corny on purpose, like for the joke or whatever, but like it fucking the wraparound story is so weak that like I'm willing to say it kind of brings things down, because like everything comes back to the wraparound story. But the main gimmick with the wraparound story is that the SWAT team, they're trying to get drug cult den or whatever, and it's just a creepy warehouse full of mannequins and shit, because of course it is, and dead bodies with the eyes gouged out. But the VHS videos they're seeing are random videos playing on the screens as they go through the crack den. It's terribly acted, none of the characters are compelling. I don't like the wraparound story. I think it's second weakest part of the, weakest part of the whole video or movie. I'll get that second weakest one in a second, but thankfully we got 4 shorts, and 3 of them are fantastic. First one I think is called Storm Drain. Very basic. It's a reporter and her cameraman are investigating sightings of a creepy figure, like an urban legend around town, a rat man, and they stumble into a different story where they find some homeless people living in a storm drain. So they try to investigate that. It's very jump scare heavy. It's very like running down sewer tunnels and turning like, oh, there's a guy. But it's effective, I think. Jump scares can be scary, and they don't do annoying shit with like loud violin screeches, because they can't, because it's a found footage film. What are some good ones? There's him like the cameraman like panning through like a pile of garbage, and an eye opens up. It's creepy, and it ends with a fun little monster coming out, weird cult shit. It's fun. It's just a simple little found footage horror film, something you would see on YouTube, but like nice and easy, nice and good. There's a weird interstitial directed by Steve Kalansky. I can't remember. Psycho Gorman guy and the Void guy and fucking Manboard guy. I love that guy. He does a weird little interstitial thing in that one, because that one's for like a news broadcast. That's a fun one. Second one's I'm really fond of too, where it's this girl working at a funeral home, and she's hosting a wake, and fucking nobody shows up. That one I really appreciate because of its willingness to like to hold back. It's a long one with like lots of old school gothic horror scare, just like bumps and thunderstorms and power going out and lighting candles, and she walks down the hall and she comes back and the casket has moved a little bit. It's very old school haunted house horror. It does eventually, you do see spooky monster gore shit, but I think it's done in a very interesting way. I appreciate that one a lot. Also because that one's mostly still cameras. So many found footage films are handheld, and I really like the way it does things, because it's a video of the wake. As part of like, because the funeral director's explaining, it's like, yeah, some people like including videos of the wake in like memorial videos or whatever. So the cameras are all set up on tripods or whatever. And there's some interesting things to that, where like just these 3 angles, cutting between those. And later on, when it does become handheld, there's a reason for it, because she needs a flashlight on top of the, yeah. That was a fun one. That brings us to the weakest, I think, of the main horror. Not the weakest is obviously the wraparound story. It sucked, but of the main shorts, the weakest one is the one from, I think it's Jakarta. It's Indonesia. Yeah. The one from Indonesia. I really didn't like it. It's just a dumb friggin'. It's the one that I think it starts out strong with a really fucked up effect where like you see a head attached to like a weird fucking erector set spider body like the baby in Toy Story. I was freaked out, and it becomes very obvious. It's just a mad scientist Frankenstein story where this guy has kidnapped a girl and he's like using her body to do fucked up experiments or whatever. And as a concept, I guess it's fine. Just as a Frankenstein story, a modern one with gore and shit, but it's acted so cornily. Also, the effects are not there. Like, you see the game the short is playing very early on where he's fucked up this girl somehow, but like he's replaced her head with a camera, and that's pretty clear. It's implied. It's pretty clear heavy on from his from what he says that he's hooked a camera to her head. So you don't really know what she looks like because you're seeing it from her point of view. And it's a very obvious game it's playing where eventually she's gonna see a mirror. Eventually. But like this whole story hinges on special effects because you also see like another one of his fucked up zombie monster things. And you see a few other ones. The whole story is hinged on special effects, and the special effects just aren't quite good enough. They look like PS3 game graphics. It's they're a little too shiny. They aren't incorporated well enough into the story convincing. And this is a weird one, but the quality is too high on the cameras. This is supposed to be set in like 1994. And he actually introduces it as 1994, but like they completely sort of ignore that for the rest. So they're widescreen, high definition 4K cameras seeing this shit, and like if you're doing something low budget, you use the fact that it's a shitty VHS camera to hide that your effects aren't quite working right. But they don't want to do that. They want to use. They have these like, check out this cool effect. Like the effect isn't good enough to sell it. And by the end, it just becomes a fucking video game. Where you're seeing her walk around with a gun and like shooting the commando dudes who are trying to kill her because they think she's a monster. The gore effects aren't that. There's some fun ones, but like I don't know. I think it's trying to be too corny. It's playing too hard into it. It's like look at it. We're not taking it too seriously, but like you gotta take it like a little seriously. I don't know. That one is easily the weakest to me. Didn't care for it. That did lead to one I thought was very strong. The finale. It's always good to end strong. I am still very sick. It's always good to end strong. So the one with this white supremacist terrorist compounds, and it's interesting because like it starts out they're very intimidating at first. They're like white supremacists are scary, honestly. And they have the dude locked up, and they like execute him brazenly, and you hear them. And they're making plans, like assault a building, kill a bunch of people. It's really horrifying. But they mention little things like, oh, we need sunlight. And it's like, what the hell is going on here? And the main gimmick of that is it's these dumbass white supremacists who have found a vampire and have realized that using its blood, they can use its blood as like a nuclear weapon, essentially. Because the blood is combustible. So when it's really interesting. Spoilers, I guess. Sorry, but I really wanted to get to that. I like that a lot. It's an interesting take. God, yeah, I really like that last one. Also, it's fun how none of the... It's always good to see a horror movie or a thriller or whatever where none of the characters are likable, so it's okay if they die. Usually you want the characters to be kind of likable so there's someone to root for, or it's scary when they die, but sometimes you just want to see people get fucked up. And when you want to do that, make a bunch of white supremacists. Yeah, so I really liked that bit. And of course we end with the wraparound story, which is super weak. Oh my god, the ending is terrible. The ending of the wraparound story is like worse than the wraparound story altogether. It's, I don't know what the fuck it is. It is acted so terribly. Oh god, it's horrendous. Oh my god. I gotta look up the IMDb of these three actors. It's two women and a man, and they're all terrible at what they're doing. Oh, that's so mean. I'm sorry. Fuck. God. I always feel bad saying shit like that. Shit. I don't know. Maybe it was bad direction. I feel bad saying shit like that. You know what? It was bad, but I'm willing to bet they probably could do better. So let's say that. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I don't think I'm mean enough to do movie reviews. Like, looking back, it's like the review I did for Animalium. I hated that movie, but like now I feel mean saying all those things. Or I'm like, oh man, I had to work myself into a lather, and I was being nasty. I don't know. I never feel good mocking art because I'm always like, oh, at least they made it. It's better than some show scene. There's some things I made, but I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, whatever. So VHS 94, some weaker bits. I really didn't care for the third story, and the wraparound story was terrible. But we had some really strong contenders in there. Some really fun ideas, and some genuinely spooky spooks. So yeah, I really like VHS 94 overall. I was convinced after Viral that the series was just over with. That like, there's no coming back from that one. That one sucked. So it's good to see, I guess a return to form, kinda. It's like, oh, cool, maybe we could see some more VHSs. I like these. Anyway, so VHS Viral, let's go 3.5 out of 5. Pretty okay. Bye, Vern.